Little Nightmares, a carefully crafted masterpiece which vacillates between awe-inspiring scenery and horrifying caricatures. Our protagonist is a raincoat-clad child named Six, a sheep amongst ravenous wolves, trapped in a massive, twisted ship called the Maw, armed only with a single lighter. She must survive to keep the smallest glimmer of hope for a way out. My original plan was to make this video on both Little Nightmares 1 and 2 in celebration of Little Nightmares 3 being released next week. When I made that plan, I was so naive, so uninformed, but now I know better. Because achievement hunting Little Nightmares is a little bit of a nightmare. And it all comes down to this. Hard to the core. What's different about you? For this achievement, I have to finish the game in under an hour. A tight window for a game which usually runs between 4 and 5, but doable. The sticking point is the second qualifier: 0 deaths. See, the thing about Six is, she dies. A lot. She can get cooked, vored, fall to her death, get swarmed by leeches. The possibilities go on and on. Yet somehow I will have to avoid every single one of them. Before I get there, I have to start here. Learning the game. This first playthrough is for enjoyment, but also education. Plus getting all my hugs in. Friend? Hello, friend? Friend? I have to learn what Six can and can't do. Where are the solutions for the puzzles presented to me, and what's the limit on fall damage?
Oh god! Okay, well, there I go.
I was falling forever. Although the game on its face is simple, there is a learning curve. For instance, many people don't know that Six has stamina, which I'll have to manage carefully. It's easy to miss because you're never told. This game is a masterclass in subtle clues to the player. Stuck on a puzzle? Observe the subtle lighting showcasing the solution. Not sure where to go next? Six will turn her head to look at where to climb. And if you're not sure what Six's remaining stamina is, observe her body language. Something else to manage while running from that which goes bump in the night. Speaking of, meet my first bump in the night. The janitor. He's pretty handsy and armsy, but he's not eyeballsy. I mean, he can't see. He detects Six entirely through sound. And he is as talented as Matt Murdock, attorney at law. A single creak of the wooden floor can alert him to my presence. Trying to practice for my hard to the core run, it became a balancing act between speed and safety. I found certain routes in practice which were faster, but some had such a fine margin for error, they weren't going to be viable for my no-death run. I'm not the most talented at this game. My route was going to need to be more low-risk than this. So with no real-time saves in Chapter 2, I pressed on to the next chapter and the second bump in the night. Or rather, bumps. Meet the twin chefs. They're pretty hideous, but it could be worse, because those are not their faces. Those are masks. I don't know what's underneath there, and I don't know where they got these skin suits from, but it's probably better to not look too deep into it. Whereas the janitor wasn't able to see me, which I could exploit as long as I was careful, the chefs have no discernible weaknesses. Plus, with them double teaming, the kitchen really makes me feel like a rat being hunted by cats. Speaking of rats, 6 is beginning to show a concerning level of hunger. Her hunger pains are so extreme that she will eat anything at hand. Literally anything. Although that was a disquieting scene, we have little choice but to press on. The kitchen was the first chapter where I started to actually find some faster routes that I considered doable. Such as opening this elevator on the way in, so I can just take this key from the bedroom straight in there without having to navigate the sleeping chef. These are not skips. There are no fancy tactics, but they are time saves, and I will take every second I can get. After barely slipping away from the chefs with my life, I have now entered the guest quarters. They are all of a certain size. Every guest of the maw has an insatiable hunger and endless gluttony. They are particularly interested in consuming 6. If any of these people see me, they will swiftly and relentlessly chase me down, forsaking all other food around them. We also get our first real look at our final bump in the night. Her name is the Lady. We'll have a much closer encounter with her in our next chapter, but she cuts an insidious figure, overseeing the mass of humanity below her with a cold detachment and incongruous grace. The guest quarters is where surviving gets incredibly dicey. In contrast with their size, the guests are nimble and will grab 6 with almost no notice. In particular, this table scene gave me the most trouble. Trying to navigate grasping, stretching hands at such an odd camera angle gave me headaches. The only real saving grace for me was a single comment I found online where this bench can be moved up the table to skip nearly half of the guests, and then jump if you love life. After making it past the guest room and becoming depressed at this scene, Six takes an elevator to the ladies' private quarters. The first part of this chapter is without danger. 6 is free to run along these stairs as fast as she can. But in the ladies' bedroom, we have to be incredibly cautious. If she detects us at all, it's over. I go as slow as possible, as far away from her as I can. Once I break this vase and grab the key inside, she disappears, and 6 can once again travel freely. The lady is entranced with her own beauty, obsessed with vanity, but every mirror in her quarters is shattered, barring one small mirror. Pointing the mirror at her hurts her and holds her off from attacking 6. After completing our dance, the lady is no longer ethereal, no longer serene, pinned up, or proper, just a woman on the ground. 6 is once again overtaken by hunger. But you know, everyone is hungry down here. Be it a single-sided obsession with their occupation, an endless drive to consume, or insatiable desire for physical perfection. We're all hungry. And if they can indulge, why shouldn't I? Six assumes the lady's power and finally makes her way out of the maw, with a few victims along the way. After a bit more practice, I felt ready to attempt hard to the core. But with each attempt, I found new and interesting ways to die that I had not encountered in practice. For instance, these leeches had never once, in all my days, touched me. And yet...
Oh!
With each attempt, I'd get a little further, a little faster. Trying my safest, fastest routes, sprint jumping whenever I could, since that's the fastest way to move. Still, I cleared Chapter 2 with almost 30 minutes on the clock, half of my total time available. And while the final 3 chapters are shorter, can they really be that much shorter? Determined to press on regardless, I made it past the twin chefs with no issue, and shockingly, guest quarters was clean, with only the lady left, and a little stamina mismanagement making this chase a close call. All that was left was the mirror fight. And since the mirror fight is super easy, barely an inconvenience, the game was complete with no deaths. But taking my slow walk towards the door and up the stairs, I wasn't getting any achievement pop. And I thought, maybe I took too long. I hadn't been tracking it, so I honestly had no idea, and no way of knowing. But then... Little Nightmares is a fantastic game, and hard to the core, while challenging, was incredibly rewarding once it was complete. I look forward to Little Nightmares 3, which at the time of recording is slated for release October 10th. If you're interested in seeing those achievements, keep an eye out for my live streams and a future video. Second broadcasting update. This is week 1 of my month-long Halloween event, Bun's Fear Fest. I will be posting horror achievement hunts every Friday throughout October, so you will hear from me again very, very soon. But until then, bye-bye.